4 грудня працює медіа-центр Україна. Мене звати Світлана Чепуренко. І зараз у нас відбудеться підбиття підсумків радіодиктанту національного.
We will now sum up the radio dictation for National Unity and we will announce the winners. We talked to Dmytro Khorkin, member of the Suspilne board, Yuliia Sheludko. She is an executive producer of the Ukrainian radio and coordinator of radio dictation. We will have online Olena Masalitina. She is head of the commission to check up the radio dictation. Ukrainians have written this dictation on the 25th of October. We can now announce the winners and talk about how we remember specifically this dictation. Oksana Zabuzhko, the Ukrainian writer, was the author of the dictation, and it was read by Pavlo Vyshebaba, who is the poet, musician, and military person. This year's National Unity Radio Dictation was happening within the series of solemn events for our state and nation. We celebrated 100 years of Ukrainian radio, and I think that there are no people who are interested in radio who could have missed that the celebration of the anniversary of Ukrainian radio was fit for its role as the major radio broadcaster of this country. We've been conducting this radio dictation for several years now, and we try to make it contemporary, pertinent to different strata of the population who are of different professions, so that we do not catch fish in the water bowl, so that we do not preach to the church flock, but we appeal to people who want to improve their knowledge of and mastership of the Ukrainian language. The figures of our broadcast, both in on the airwaves and online, show that the level of the event was rather high. The text is complicated, and of course the writer is also significant, Oksana Zabuzhko, who agreed to cooperate with the Ukrainian radio, and we have figures that we want to boast with. Pavlo Vyshebaba, who read the text this year, he also tried very hard. He was doing this for the first time, and probably for the first time for many, many years. We haven't got many letters from people who said that it was either too slow or too fast or too mundane. It looks like he satisfied everybody to the maximum. Although people were worried, they thought that the text was rather complicated, I think they coped rather well. Everyone was doubtful about punctuation, but it turned out that most of the mistakes were not about full stops or commas. We got almost 12,000 letters. Regrettably, many people have not sent in their letters because they were not sure about whether they coped, but this is a good result, 12,000. This was a very massive flash mob, and it was in Google Trends, and of course many people have written the dictation, but they didn't send them in, and there were letters in Braille. We have 6 winners, and let's start. Also, shortly, I understand that those who are waiting for the surnames to be announced are trying to gulp sedatives. Well, Ukrposhta, who have issued the company who have issued the envelope and the stamp. So we had paper letters from Germany, Italy, Bulgaria, Poland, Finland, emails from the UK, Greece, Ireland, Spain, Kazakhstan, Canada, Cyprus, Latvia, Lithuania, Mauritius, Germany, United Arab Emirates, Russia, Slovakia, the USA, Switzerland, Scotland, Sweden, Turkey, Tunisia, Czechia. This is the geography of the radio dictation for national unity. Ukrposhta, Ukrainian Post, was working for a month for this radio dictation. We brought them quite a profit. And not everybody designated where they are from or what they were doing. However, there are interesting letters from dangerous zones. There were letters from Sumy, Черкаська, Донецька область, Покровськ, Костянтинівка, Лиман, Херсон, Слов'янськ, and the city of Luhansk, the city of Drushkirka in Donetsk region, and not only from civilians, but also from the military. Yes, of course, not everyone was saying what they do, whether they are there as service people or just residents, but we know now for sure that people on the occupied territories listen to us and they send us letters. So despite expectations, despite memes about Zabuzhko's text, we have 6 winners. One of them has written the dictation without any mistake, and we consider other winners those who have written with 2 mistakes. So let's start with our winner who has not made a single mistake. I was very doubtful at first. Probably there's a plot or something. Every time another writer. And we also have academic reviewers who make their own changes in the text. So there was no plot, and we have a multiple times winner. Our multiple times winner, who has missed not a single radio dictation. She lives in Lviv. She is not a philologist, and she loves Ukrainian radio, and her name is Christina Hoyanyuk. She has written again, and the secret is rather well known. When we announce the authors of the text, she always goes to the library and she is looking for the texts of the author in order to understand the stylistics, the syntax, and to be successful again. And of course, she does field radio. We also congratulate 5 other winners. Natalia Timocheva, she sent an email. Andrei Bondar, who is the teacher of the Ukrainian language in Lvacha, Kyiv region. Yuliia Pershch, an email from Oster in Chernihiv region. She's a teacher. Darina Krechko, an email. We don't know her where she's from, and Natalia Ruzhanska also from, she also sent an email. So here are the names of our winners. They have won in writing the National Unity Radio Dictation. We will send you precious gifts. We have some limited editions. These are musical discs and books from our partners and some gift merchandise from the Suspilne radio broadcaster, also the initiative of our First Lady about mental health, and people worded their thoughts in the second part of the dictation. This is very important, to write down what you feel. And on big board in many cities of Ukraine, you now see this information campaign. For how many years in a row this winner wins? I don't remember exactly, but at least 5 times, maybe 6. Well, one year she did admit one mistake. Also, the diaries of invincibility in the partnership with the public broadcaster, with the Ukrainian radio, with the communication campaign, How Are You? The campaign of invincibility. We made the project for the Ukrainian radio. These stories that people sent in together with the text of radio dictation, or they sent it to the special platform How Are You? Tiyak. They became the foundation for the basis for radio programs over the month of November. Our presenters read these stories, and you could hear your own story among other stories. There were almost even more than 1,000 stories, each one of them unique, each one of them specific. All of these people want to win, but many people, among other things, listen to radio. It helps them withstand. Some people look for the drive. Some people love radio culture, radio kultura, and they are being helped by music. Some of them are helped by Radio Promin. Of course, some people are helped with their domestic animals. Friends help other people, and one listener said that her staunchness is in helping some other people. So these are their stories, and you can listen to them on the site of the Ukrainian radio. And of course on air. No, they don't. They are not being aired now. They've been aired until the end of November. However, these invincibility diaries will be sent to our winners together with gifts and books. Yes, of course, people have not just written the dictation in order to check them up, but the major thing is that we are the most open in the world. We held a art contest. Olena Masalitina won as those people who were doing comprehensive checkup. Let's listen to her, who checked the work, the colossal work. Of course, it is interesting to get to know what was easiest and what was the most complicated for Ukrainians in this radio dictation. Good afternoon, colleagues. Sorry I'm not with you in your cozy studio. I'm talking to you from my business trip from the road, and probably it was unexpected, but everybody was rather successful with the dictation. There were not many mistakes. More than that, there were not many punctuation mistakes, because the syntax of Ms. Zabuzhko is rather complicated. There were mostly mistakes in where you had to write brechonets, the word brechonets, liar in inverted commas. Hulahivsky was written not correctly, and there was a lot of versions where it was written class or cool, and of course not everyone was right in spelling the All Union Radio with a capital. We had less letters than this year, than last year. I think that many people have not sent their letters in, and I would say that there were no too interesting or unexpected mistakes. So the colleagues who prepared the text and Pavlo who read it out, I think they coped very well. I thank you on behalf of our team. I know that your teachers community was led by certain standards in this direction. What were your guidelines so that there are no questions or doubts about the data that we voice? Really, there's quite a number of standards that we take into account, and for my soul and for the EdCamp Ukraine, the virtue, the honesty, the transparency are not just words. We are watching this very closely. We also use the standards from the Ukrainian National Center for the Quality of Education. I was involved in their work for several years in a row, and we used this approach when every work is being checked by two people, and the works that are being collected in folders, no mistakes, one mistake or two mistakes. I check them later personally, and I must tell you that the teams that sort the letters out and the teams that evaluate the works are different teams. So even if someone wants to fix the results, it is not easy to do, because there is a team who receives letters, the team who sorts the letters out, and the team who actually check the letters. And of course, for many people, this is not so important to write the dictation without mistakes as to be part of this enterprise. And of course, there are different followers, because within the framework of the campaign 16 Days Without Gender-Motivated Violence, they also have written a dictation. This shows the trust that people put into this methodology, and we are very much obliged and pleased to do this. Thank you very much for your avid work. How many specialists have joined the examination, and for how long have they worked? I think we have lost the connection with Olena. Maybe later I will get I can answer. If she comes back, then she comes back. But the radio dictation starts to be checked before, from the very moment when the text is being published on the site. And then for 2 or 3 weeks we receive paper letters, including those that come from abroad, and then I give it all to the team who checks the writing, and they have they have finished this work yesterday. Every year we also take into account some authors' delicate features. I also draw your attention to the fact that this is a media event. We do not mentor people. You don't have to listen to every tune and pitch. I know that, of course, people who checked the work took into account the intonation with which the text was really read out. And for instance, if the exclamation mark was not clearly designated in the way the text was read out, then they did not count it as a mistake. And we are now holding the press conference, but even 90 minutes before the press conference, on the air of Ukrainian radio, I and Yuliia were talking about Brehunets and All Union Radio and Kyiv Dynamo and Gulagivsky and other things which had to be taken into inverted commas. So we have the corroboration of rules of this. Olena is with us again, so my question again is, how many people took part in checking the results? We always look at how many letters we expect, then how many we get, and then how many we sort out and select. We get the term from Suspilne radio broadcaster, the time limit. So we started to check the text 2 days after the text was published. For 2 days we've been sorting the letters out because not of them contained the written text. And by the end of the last week we were able to finish it, to produce a report, systematize it. 6 people were engaged in this. I cannot publish their names or their details. This is one of the standards of our checkup. But these are all people who are connected to editing in Ukrainian or teaching Ukrainian. We meet all together before they start their work. I give them some guidelines. We listen to the way the text was written, and we make our decision on whether we count some mistakes in or we don't. And we do have a command for every point why it should be written this way, and we can explain. But on behalf of the colleagues who were checking the results, thank you very much for the warm letters that you send us. We laugh, we cry, but one of the standards of checkup does not allow us to write back, because you understand that we cannot write to everyone out of 12,000 people who have written to us. So please don't get offended as you don't get the reply. Thank you, Olena. Drive safely. Thank you very much for the work that you've done. So this means that every person who checked the letters was reading 2,000 texts. This year, our correspondents were very much well prepared. There were very beautiful letters. Schools and other educational establishments have decorated their letters with Gelderos or something like that. There were portraits of Zabuzhko and Vyshebaba. There were logos of the Ukrainian radio. One of the readers have sent in a book of her poetry, which she edited which she published at her own expense, and this is we are very pleased. Professor from the Harvard University sent the letter. She's been studying Ukrainian from 2022. Alisa Deinega She's a doctor and professor, and she wanted to show that she was writing the dictation together with us. There were other interesting letters. The state administration of Kramatorsk sent in, the Young Spectators Theater in Odessa, the Saint Volodymir's choir in Paris, the National Library named after Vernadsky, Ukraine's embassy in Tunisia, the Academy of National Guard of Ukraine, the Society for Friendship Ukraine, Cyprus, a lot of very interesting letters, and also some envelopes that contained a number of letters. And the pair of the author and the reader, how have you selected the author of the text and the reader of the text? Every year, after we have we modernized the radio dictation and made it an all-Ukrainian flash mob, and you can find out that it has the best ratings on the TV and digital presence, not to mention the quotes from it, and you see that people from different professions take part. We compose a short list, then we have a working group headed by Yuliia Sheludko, and together with people from the Ukrainian radio, Radio Promin, Radio Kultura, they start to select who can read it out, who could write the text, who will be interested, who or someone who are involved in this sphere, so that they don't spoil the event, the reliability of the person, so that they could come and read it out, security questions. You know that during this radio dictation there was a air raid alert. However, we did continue, and this is all a colossal work. As far as the short list is concerned, I would not name any other person apart from Pavlo and Oksana, but I would say that this was a very successful choice. Who'll be engaged next year? We are thinking at the moment, and I think that you will be surprised. Any questions from the audience? Please raise your hand. If there are no questions, then congrats to the winners again, and we hope that next year the radio dictation will unite very interesting participants from different nooks of the world, and there will be interesting author of the text and an interesting reader. This was the summing up of the National Unity Radio Dictation, and we announced the winners. The Media Center Ukraine will continue to work tomorrow. Please follow our announcements.